In the quiet town of Windermere, where fog rolled in like slow music each morning, there stood an old clock tower. It hadn't ticked for 30 years. People got used to its silence, building their days around phone alarms and digital watches, never looking up anymore. Except for one man, Elias Ward, the town's forgotten clockmaker. Elias was 73. His hands trembled holding a cup of tea, but grew steady whenever he touched a gear or spring. He lived surrounded by hundreds of broken clocks, each ticking at its own rhythm, a comforting chaos. What haunted him wasn't the noise in his shop, but the silence of the tower, the great clock that once made Windermere feel alive. Why fix it? People would ask. Time moves on anyway. But Elias had a secret reason. The clock tower was the last thing he and his son, Noah, had worked on before the accident. 30 years earlier, Noah was 21, bright and endlessly curious. "Dad, people don't care about gears anymore," he'd say with a grin. "They want screens, lights, buttons." Elias would just laugh. And when the batteries die, who will they come to? They were different, but inseparable until the day the tower stopped. Noah was inside, adjusting a gear, when a heavy beam snapped. By the time Elias reached him, Noah was gone. The town mourned, but life went on. Elias, however, stopped winding every clock in his shop that night. He couldn't bear the sound of ticking anymore. He told himself it was too late. His son's time had stopped, and so had his purpose. One winter afternoon, a young traveler named Elias entered his shop. She carried a small, cracked clock shaped like a pocket sun. "It belonged to my father," she said. "I just want to hear it tick again." Something in her voice pulled a string deep inside him. So she came every day, sitting quietly as Elias worked, breathing life back into the forgotten metal. After a week, she asked, "Why do you keep so many broken clocks?" He smiled faintly. "Because sometimes, even broken things remind us what time means." She looked around the room. "They sound like tiny hearts trying to beat again." No one had ever said it like that before. Elias was almost the same age Noah would have been. And for the first time in decades, Elias felt a glimmer of hope. When Elias's clock was finally fixed, it ticked so gently, it brought tears to his eyes. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "Why don't you fix the big one?" "The tower." He froze. "That clock is beyond repair." "I've seen it," she said softly. "It's not broken. It's waiting." That night, Elias found the old blueprints of the tower, his son's handwriting running along the edges, synchronized the pendulum before setting the escapement. It felt like a message across time. The next morning, he stood before the tower once again. Its hands were frozen at 3:17, the exact time of the accident. He climbed the spiral stairs, his hands shaking as he touched the cold, rusted metal. "Hello, old friend," he whispered. For weeks, he returned each day, cleaning, tightening, oiling. Villagers watched, whispering that he'd lost his mind. But Elias ignored them, working through rain and loneliness. Every night, he spoke to Noah. "I'm sorry I stopped," he would say. "But I'm here now." Elias often brought him food and tea. Slowly, the tower began to awaken, but one gear, the master gear, remained stuck. The same one that had failed 30 years ago. Despair rose in him, until he saw a small inscription etched faintly in the metal. "For Dad, time never really stops." It was Noah's handwriting. As his tears fell on the gear, it turned. The following Sunday, Windermere woke to a sound it hadn't heard in 3 decades. Tick, tick, tick. Then, a deep, resonant chime rolled across the valley, stirring memories in every soul. The great clock had returned to life. At the base of the tower stood Elias, listening as if he could hear his son's laughter between the chimes. Elias found him there, smiling. "You did it," she said. "No," he whispered. "We did." From that day on, Elias began fixing the smaller clocks again, not out of duty, but love. He taught Elias everything he knew. When she asked why he'd finally fixed the tower, he said, "Because I realized grief doesn't mean time stops. It means time keeps asking you to catch up." Months later, Elias passed away peacefully. Leela found a note beside his watch. "Thank you for reminding me that broken things can still sing. Keep time alive." She took over the shop, and high above the town, the tower kept ticking, its great hands moving forward, steady and true, marking not just the hours, but the proof that love outlives loss. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do isn't to start over, it's to start again. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that makes you think and feel. We'll see you in the next one.